for yourself also in the first person. I live in a universe that is fundamentally perfect, always growing, moving, and unfolding in its own perfection, and always busily engaged in producing an infinite variety of manifestations of itself out of its perfection. I am one of those manifestations. I am a perfect idea in the mind of God, come to live a life that is abundant, joyful, prosperous, and I require a perfect state of health in order to do that. My body has its own intelligence of perfection within it. It knows how to make itself well and keep itself well. I do not pollute my body with false ideas about disease. I greet my life understanding that I am born to live in perfect ease, in perfect health, and that my body is equipped from beginning to end with the ability to do that. I turn away from all belief that disease is a part of life. It is not. Or necessary to my being. It is not. There is no lesson to be learned from it, no value to be gained from it, no debt to be paid with it. I am a perfect idea in the mind of God, and that idea is manifest in every cell of my body. I do not think sick. I do not believe sick. I do not expect sick. I do not revel in sickness. I am a perfect idea in the mind of God, and I rejoice in understanding that perfect health is God's divine intention for me. I claim it, build my life on it, surround my thinking with it, and joyfully let it be so. So it is. Well, the title of my talk today is The Whole Works. The Whole Works. Now let me begin by calling your attention to something which some of you already have experienced, and the rest of you will one day experience if you live long enough. And it is this. We go through life blithely accepting the fact that most of the world is older than we are. And then one morning, we wake up and discover the fact that most of the world is younger than we are, and getting younger by the minute. What this means is you are now closer to the end of your days on this planet than you are to the beginning of them. That's what it means. You are now closer to the end of your days on this planet than you are to the beginning of them. And how you decide to respond to this piece of unsolicited information, how you decide to respond to it is absolutely critical to the quality of the rest of your life. It is absolutely critical to the quality of the rest of your life, more so than any event that has taken place in your life up to this time. It is more important than anything that has gone before how you right at this point decide to respond to this realization. Now, if you choose to respond to it morbidly, you are preparing yourself for a downhill slide. If you decide to respond to it morbidly, you are preparing yourself for an unhappy rest of your life. And many people do respond to it morbidly because they don't know how to respond to it any other way. They respond to it morbidly because of their conditioning. We are mentally conditioned to be more concerned with the length of life than with the quality of living. We are prepared by upbringing to place a greater value on longevity than on quality. We are taught from the beginning to hope and pray for a long, long, long life. At the same time, we are taught it's not right to hope and pray to have too much good in it. Just enough to get along. Just enough to be comfortable. Which means just enough so that your family and friends don't feel estranged from you. Just enough to have what they think is comfortable for you. We seem compellingly conditioned to hope and pray for a long life, even when that life is not all that much fun. even when the life we are leading, or the life we seem to be involved in, is a real bummer. Nobody wants to let go of it. It's as if we think that if we can keep on living on and on and on and on, somehow, someday, life will get better. But the quality of life doesn't improve automatically with length. We don't automatically get nicer, smarter, or anything else as we go on. The passing of years bring nothing but time. And the idea is that we will absolutely grow older just for having lasted that much longer is nonsense. It's like the father that goes around saying, I don't know what's wrong with those children. I've got 40 years of experience, and they won't listen to me. The reason they don't listen to him is they know he doesn't have 40 years of experience. He's got 1 year of experience, repeated 40 times. The quality of life does not improve automatically with length. We just get used to declining dreariness. That's what happened. It reminds me of the story of the man who goes to the doctor and learns that he has a deadly disease. And the doctor tells him there's no cure for this. And then he says, listen, you've got to give up smoking, drinking, red meat, fried foods, sugar, and sex. And the man says to him, will that let me live longer? And the doctor says, no, but it will seem like longer. Yeah. It will seem like longer, and when the time comes to go, you won't mind it so much. And you know, absurd as that story is, it contains an element of truth. We think we are winners at the game of life if we live so long and if we live through so much. At last we get so tired, so disappointed, so bored, so sick, we really don't mind going all that much. We think, whoopee, what a long and successful life. No matter how tiresome or boring or disappointing our life is, we don't want it to end until we get really sick and tired of it. And this is a very widespread and very ancient mental construct. That is why we automatically refer to death in such ways as going to his rest, resting in peace, sleeping in the arms of the Lord. And when someone dies, whom we do not think is old and tired and sick and stupid enough to be dead, we say such things as cut down in his prime, in full bloom of her womanhood. Oh, what a tragedy. Managed to get out of this world without being bored, worn out, and bitter. What could God have been thinking of? Now, the time to get all this nonsense straightened out in your mind is as soon as possible. That's the best time. Right now is the best time. But the crucial time to get it straightened out is the day you wake up and realize that in terms of actual measurement, you are indeed closer to the end of your days than to the beginning of your days. Because when you don't have great length on your side, it is time to give up the belief that great length is vital to your well-being, and to recognize indeed what has always been true about life, that it is not something to be endured for a long time. It is something to be enjoyed every single day. It is not something to be endured for a long time. It is something to be enjoyed every single day. Living long and enduring much truly is not its purpose. Living well and enjoying much is its purpose, so that when you go from this planet, you will be leaving behind you a trail of happiness and abundance and success, not a history of painful struggle and wretched decline. Now, I am not endorsing the idea of a life of rampant self-indulgence, because living well is not a matter of self-indulgence. Living well does not involve abusing yourself or abusing anybody else in any way. Joy is not found in selfishness or mindless abandon. Joy is not found in being run ragged by your emotional or physical appetite. I'm not talking about that. Life is about quality, not longevity. Quality living now does tend to produce longer living, and it certainly produces happier living. But neither happiness nor longevity are things that can be pursued for their own sake. All right, I'll say it again. Neither happiness nor longevity are things that can be pursued for their own sake, because they are both byproducts of quality living, quality thinking, quality acting, quality living. Now, there is an important difference between happiness and longevity. You can't force happiness, no matter what you do. No matter what you do, you can only dull the pain of unhappiness. And an awful lot of people are out there thinking they are involved in things that are making them happy, and they are not at all. They are involved in things that are helping them forget how unhappy they are. You can't force happiness. You can only dull the pain of unhappiness, and that is what a great deal of medicine is about, both prescription and non-prescription. All right. You can't force happiness, but you can force longevity. You can. You can keep that body alive and cranking long after there's any good reason why it should be doing that. You can. Modern miracle of medicine can keep it going and going and going, as long as one pill remains in one drugstore. Absolutely. And people are saying, I don't care how sad it is, how long I've lived, how many aches and pains. If I can just live another day, another month, another year, just let me live a little bit longer. I want to say, why? You haven't got any money. I know it's not everything, but it's something. You haven't got any money. You haven't got any prospects for ever having any. You haven't got any love in your life. Nobody is sorry to see you leave or happy to see you come. You have no great burning desire to make a great contribution to the world or to the industry or to anything like that. No. You're full of aches and pains and miseries every day of your life. Why? Let's just go on until spring. Oh, please. You can do it. You can make it happen. The world is full of people that have been dead from the neck up from a number of years. Now, I have a theory. People are saying, what are we going to do with our population? Because of the availability of modern medicine, that people are going to be able to live longer and longer and longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. But the problem is they're not productive, they're not happy. What are we going to do about this? If we could put all of our resources into healing people of the fear of hell and the devil, I think the population of the world would reduce by 25% tomorrow. Because I think the only thing that is keeping people alive is the fear of death. Yeah, the only thing. No other reason at all. An elderly friend of mine was driving in a car with me a number of years ago. We were really trying to make her happy. We turned the corner on the Pacific Coast Highway, and I said, look, so-and-so, there's the Pacific Ocean. You know what she said? I've seen the Pacific Ocean. Oh, please. And it remembers you well, too. She was a thrill a minute to be with. All right. Now, here is the message of religious science, and it's good news. You are not here to see how long you can last. Right? You are not here to drag along year after year hoping things get better, or thinking your life will be rewarded or dignified for sheer endurance. Because only mind, only consciousness, only thought is creative. The calendar is not creative. You are not a creature of the calendar. Right? The turning of the pages of the calendar brings you nothing. They're going to turn anyhow, you see. You are not, as Dr. Barker liked to say, you are not a birth certificate waiting to become a death certificate. See? And the passing of years is only a measurement of time. See? They have no creativity. They have nothing to give you. See, the years are going to pass whether you're sick or well, whether you're happy or unhappy, whether you're living or dead. That has nothing to do with anything. Only consciousness is creative, and quality thought occurring at any point in time creates quality livingness at any point in time. Quality thought creating or operating in any point in time creates quality livingness at any point in time. And quality livingness is the purpose of your life at any age. At any age. It is the purpose of all life everywhere. Now, Dr. Holmes tells us that the law of life is a law of growth. All right. And growth is forward movement. First and foremost, it is the forward movement of mind, followed always by improved circumstances, which are the inevitable result of the forward movement of mind. This is why we have a science of mind which is a system of learning how to put our minds in forward gear and keep them in that gear through all things. Well, people will say, what is a forward movement of mind? That's easy. It's a reach for new ideas. That's all it is. A forward movement of mind is a mental reaching for new ideas. All right? New goals, new ambitions, new plans, new attitudes, new beliefs, new opinions, new ways of relating to people, new answers to give, new questions to ask, new ways to do or enjoy or to please or to pursue old ways. That's what it is. People will say, well, how long can I go on doing that? For as long as you are looking for more quality in your life. See, a lot of people think if they could stop thinking, they could rest. But you never stop thinking. You're going to be thinking all the time. See? So you might as well be thinking in forward gear than in reverse, or holding it in neutral and going round and round and round and round in a circle. I look at some people sometime and hear them talking, and I get the vision of them going round and round and round and round and round, and I think they're going to bore a hole in the earth if they keep doing that.
End of side 1. Please turn your cassette to side 2 at this point. Thank you.
It's boring, 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 boring. How long can I keep on doing it? Yeah. For as long as you are looking forward to having new and better things coming into your life. Well, how much should any person expect to have in their whole life? The whole works. See, how much should you expect? Everything, everything, everything. That's what you should expect. You see, God is infinite and life is eternal, which means life will never run out of goodness for the living. So, how much good should I have in my life at any point in time? As much as I can accept. How much good should you have in your life at any point of time? As much as you can accept. How much good should you expect? You should expect the whole works. You should be open and receptive to the whole works. You're dealing with an infinite power. Why not expect infinity? Now, Dr. Holmes, a very modest man, quiet man really, in his textbook put it this way. Very subtle, I think. He said, we should endeavor to stop limiting God. We should endeavor to stop limiting God. All things are given to us, but we shall have to do the taking. We shall have to do the taking. Now, people get confused and say, I've been to seminars and services before when they said all things are given to them, and I have to give the taking. How are all things given to me? I don't understand that. Does that mean when I open my garage door, I can expect to see a Rolls Royce sitting in there? How are all things given to me? Dr. Holmes explains that. He says this. He says, God gives in the abstract, we receive in the concrete. Great statement. God gives in the abstract, we receive in the concrete. What does that mean? What is the abstract? The abstract is the realm of your consciousness. It is your mind. It is your thinking, feeling nature. When you think of your desire, and when you think well of that desire, when you allow yourself to feel good and open about that desire, you are experiencing God's gift in the abstract. When you then turn to your everyday life and go about the business of being open and receptive to the people, places, things, challenges, and opportunities that lead you to believe will take you to that desire, then you are on the road to receiving God's gift in the concrete, right? Now, with all that in mind, let us return to the question of how much good you should have in your life. And my answer is all of it. Of all of my many dreams and desires and interests, how many should I actually try to accomplish? All of them. The whole works. What if I don't live long enough to get the whole works? Oh, you probably won't. That's not the point at all, see? But a total commitment to having it all while you do live, that is the point. That is what keeps life worth living. That is what keeps us having something wonderful to look forward to. You know, if you don't die while you're having a good time, you've wasted your life. If you don't die while you are happy, going somewhere, doing something, expecting something, enjoying something, you've wasted your time. I have a favorite aunt who was widowed a number of years ago, and he left her very well fixed. And if you lived with him all those years, you'd know how right that was. He left her very well fixed. And she declined several opportunities to remarry, thank you very much, and decided that she would do what she had always wanted to do. She had always wanted to travel, to see things, to go places. And I mean, she was showing up in places like Rangoon. You know, I'm not talking about going to Augusta on the train. I mean, this was big time. She was flying off here and this was a little housewife from Pittsburgh. She never went everywhere. All but off to here, off to there, in the air, on the sea, on the cruise, the whole thing. So a number of years went by, and her children began to get worried about Mom. I think they were worried about the money, what they were worried about. But they said to her, "Oh, Mother, you really shouldn't keep doing that at your age, you see. Because you hear about these terrible plane crashes, and the bus wrecks, and the trains going off the track, and the hijackings at sea." And she said, "Listen, if you get a telegram saying that your mother has gone down on a plane, on a ship, in a train wreck, know that your mother died happy and rejoice. Because that's really how I want to spend my life." That's right. All right. If you don't pass from this earth at a time when you are still having a wonderful time, you have really wasted your time and missed the point of living altogether. Well, people will say, but you can't be happy with your life at the end of a very long and painful illness, because that's when a lot of people go. No, you certainly can't be happy with anything at the end of a long and painful illness. But I'm saying this: if you learn how to live your life happily, moving forward towards getting it all the time, you are not a very likely candidate for a long and painful illness. Haven't you ever been curious about the difference between people whose lives end only after a long and painful illness and people who live right along, going their way, doing their thing, and then eventually, by one means or another, rather quickly go? Just rather quickly go. Haven't you ever been curious about what is the difference between those two experiences? Because there is a difference, you know, and the difference has to be in the consciousness of the individuals involved. It has to be. Now, the science of mind is interested in that difference. The science of mind is interested in recognizing there is a difference, discovering what that difference is, and in getting people on the right side of the balance sheet. All right? Getting people or helping people to get on the right side. If it can go one way or another, why not go the way you want it to go? Now, you and I are not supposed to live forever, but we are supposed to live beautifully while we do live. We're not supposed to live forever, but we are supposed to live beautifully while we do live. And we are not supposed to get the whole works, but we are supposed to be receptive to it and working at it all the time. Because, you see, happiness really is not a matter of getting everything you want. It is a matter of wanting everything you get. It's not a matter of getting everything you want. It is a matter of wanting everything you get and being able to get rid of any of the bad stuff that sneaks in while you're not looking. Get rid of it quickly instead of dragging it around all the days of your life. Now, Dr. Holmes continues. He writes, we are dealing with intelligence and should deal with it intelligently. He said, when we think, we are dealing with intelligence and should deal with it intelligently. When we think, when we turn our mind, our desires, our dreams, when we turn inward and dwell upon them, we are dealing with a creative intelligence that is God. See, we are discovering what God wants to give us when we get the desire. You think of your desires that way? I want a Cadillac. That's what God wants to give me. It's true. We are discovering what God wants to give us when we get the desire. We are agreeing with what God wants to give us when we honor the desire. When we say, yippee, that's a good idea, God. See? Instead of, oh, God, that's really too much for me. All right? We are receiving what God wants to give us when we do something concrete about the desire. Right? We recognize it, we agree with it, and then we do something about it. This is how we deal with intelligence intelligently, not by denying that that desire is much too good for us, not by acknowledging the desire but then trimming it down by several degrees because really I would like to have the red one with all the bangles on it, but that little brown one over in the corner is really, really more what I should have. Give that to me. Don't you like the red one with the things hanging? I love the red one with the things on it, but after all, you better just give me. I've always had the grays and the browns. To me. You see people going into parties. And they look at somebody and they say, wow, there is a real knockout, but, no good there. Let's go over to this one with the tick. She looks desperate enough. Yeah. That's not dealing with intelligence intelligently. It really isn't. It is rejecting God's perfect intelligence efforts to give you something. All right. Now, we have to stop approaching this endless ocean of creative consciousness that is all around us. This endless ocean of creative consciousness, which is life, with a little teaspoon, like a spiritual imbecile. Surrounded with potential abundance. And here we go, our little teaspoonful. I'm all right. We have to learn to march right into the middle of it with a bucket as big as you can carry. And if it's too big, get somebody to help you. Because you see, life works best for people who are after the whole works. The whole works. Who no longer think that they have to sacrifice a happy family life for a successful career. Who no longer believe that they must destroy their health in order to earn enough money. Who no longer believe that they have to give up their personal ambition in order to get someone over here to love or approve of them. See? Life is not a commercial venture in which we are required to go along trading off this for that. It simply isn't that. There is no competition in the mind of God. And there is no competition in the natural operation of your life. The only thing you and I have to give to get the best is our best attention. And the only thing you and I have to give up are the limited notions about what life is and how it works. That's what we have to give up. And we don't have to give them up to God, because God don't want them. It is not a holy sacrifice. God doesn't have any use for such nonsense or any capacity to understand it. Just give them up. Give them up. Let them, as Dr. Holmes says, go back into the nothingness from which they came. You see, the creative mind of God only knows when you are ready, not when you aren't. only knows when you are open, not when you're closed, only gives you what you are in a position to receive, not what you are merely hoping for. However piously you may be hoping. A lot of people are hoping piously. Now, piety, as it is generally understood, amounts to passive hosing. Hopeful hopelessness. Don't be fooled by it, and don't get sucked into it for the convenience of being able to substitute it for a dynamic personal commitment to use your mind energetically on behalf of your own greater good. You see, your life counts. It counts very much. I don't care who you are. Your life counts. People will argue me about it. If they argue long enough, I tend to agree with them. I said, except for you, dear. Sorry I said that to you. You finally convinced me that you are the one person that doesn't matter. No. Whoever you are, your life counts. And what you do with it adds to the quality of life for every single person that is on this planet and is ever going to come onto this planet. See, your life counts. And whatever amount of good you are going to do with it puts just that much more energy behind the forward movement of this entire civilization. Which means behind the forward movement of all people everywhere. You are not put here to compete with your neighbor for your good. No person's role in this life is to be the one who lost, so this one over here would win. Right? No one. Real life is always a win-win situation. It's always a win-win situation. And when we understand this, then perhaps we will become fearless about our pursuit of the whole thing. Because we know that in wanting the whole thing, we are not only serving ourselves well, but we are causing some good to manifest on this plane of action for everyone. Now, many, many people come to the science of mind because they want to get this or get rid of that. Right? They want to get married or get rid of the one they've got. They want to get a job or get out of the job they've got. They want to get an apartment or get rid of the one they've got. They want to get this or get over that. I'll tell you, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'll tell you something else. Those who get into this wonderful teaching deeply enough to actually get this or get over that always get a bonus on top of it all if they are alert enough to accept it. And this is what the bonus is. It is the understanding that the power that enabled them to get this or get over that is a limitless power which will let them get anything or get over anything. The bonus is the real payoff for their effort. And people who accept it and figure out how to put it to work in their lives on an ongoing basis are the people who get much more out of this teaching than they came for. When I came into religious science all those years ago when I was just a tiny child, what I was looking to get out of it was something that I consider at this point of view very limited. But it was as much as I could imagine at the time. And what I'm saying is, if you really understand how this is working for you to help you get this or get over that, the bonus is realizing that the power that did it is limitless and you can use it to get anything or to get over anything. The people who commit themselves to that are the people who get the whole works working for them. And whoever you are, you can be one of them. And that is why this teaching is wonderful. And so it is.